Welcome to Paid for Your Presence, powered by Soulful AI. I'm Erica Duran, business mentor, brand strategist, and creator of the Paid for Your Presence method. This isn't another Grow Your Following show. Each week, you'll get unfiltered strategy, grounded frameworks, and the kind of truth-telling most marketing podcasts avoid, so you can grow your brand without diluting your voice or burning out. Here we focus on elevating your expertise, refining your message, and designing a way of working that actually fits you, so business feels aligned again. Because you don't need a bigger stage, you need a stronger presence. Forget the rules, take a breath, tune in, and step into your authority. Never settle. You didn't miss my burnout story. There wasn't one. I wasn't exhausted. I was uninterested. Welcome back to the Paid for Your Presence podcast powered by Soulful AI. I'm Erica Duran, and if you've been with me for a while, maybe since the resort living chapters, the early podcast days, or the digital nomad seasons, I want to start with a sincere thank you. When a voice you're used to hearing goes quiet, it could feel like a loose thread in your routine. Maybe you noticed I stepped away. Maybe you didn't. The internet moves fast. Either way, I'm here now, and this return is intentional. If you're new here, you landed at a really good time. This is not just a new season, it's a reset. A return by choice, not recovery. A recalibration of how I want to build, how I want to lead, and how I want to be known. Let me say something up front, because I know how these stories usually go online. You didn't miss my burnout story. There wasn't one. I wasn't exhausted. I was uninterested. That might sound blunt, but it's the cleanest truth I have. I had gone as far as I wanted to go in that version of the industry and that version of the business model. The conversations felt recycled. The online space felt louder and less honest. And instead of fighting the noise, I stepped out of it. No dramatic exit, no rock bottom montage, no long goodbye post. Just a quiet realization. If the game no longer feels worth playing, you don't have to win it. You can walk away and build a better one. And I'm telling you that because you're allowed to do the same. You can pause, you can pivot, and you can end a season cleanly without apologizing for it or performing it for people who were never going to fund your future anyway. During the time I was quieter online, I wasn't hiding. I was building, refining, strengthening the parts of my business that needed to hold more weight, making decisions that would carry me for the next decade, not just the next launch. And now, what I'm bringing back, deeper, sharper, and more aligned with what I actually want to say. So consider this, the first episode, both a welcome and a story. Where I've been, what I've been building, and what you can expect from this season of Paid for Your Presence. The freedom everyone saw. Before we get into the why, I wanted to rewind for a second, back to the part of my career that surprises people the most. Because before the online space got noisy, I was living what most people now call the influencer dream. And here's the wild part. This is before influencer was even a word. There weren't courses teaching it. There weren't platforms matching creators with brands. It was hustle and intuition, creating high-value content, pitching myself, and building relationships, landing partnerships. Resorts would host me and comp my stays. In exchange, I'd share their properties with my audience. For years, I literally lived full time at a resort because they sponsored my podcast. My daily life became my marketing. I recorded episodes from the property. I filmed content poolside. I showcased what it looked like to live and work from anywhere. And it worked. The podcast charted in its category. My audience grew. My offers had waitlists. My personal brand became a business model on its own. From the outside, it looked like the ultimate version of freedom: travel, resort living, luxury experiences, and a full client roster. A brand that seemed effortless. And honestly, some of it was glamorous. But behind the scenes, it was also an unending loop: constant visibility, constant pressure, constant performance. It wasn't presence, it was performance dressed up as presence. That's the part people didn't see. Yes, I had built something powerful, but it came with constant expectation: sponsors, followers, and the quiet pressure I put on myself to keep delivering a lifestyle that looked a certain way. And that tension planted the first seed of a question I couldn't ignore. Was this really progress, or was it motion dressed up as progress? I refused to follow. And as I wrestled with that, the online world shifted. The intensity that used to be my private, behind the scenes reality became the industry's public standard. Everyone was expected to be always on, always sharing, always producing. Facebook groups exploded. Instagram turned into a talent show that never ended. And then TikTok came in hot. And suddenly it felt like people expected clients to buy premium offers off the back of a trending sound. I remember thinking, what are we even doing? It wasn't a crisis of confidence for me, it was a crisis of clutter. I didn't feel irrelevant, I felt uninterested. Because if the marketplace was going to reward performance over proof, I knew that wasn't the marketplace I wanted to build in. The platforms had shifted. Authority was being drowned out by algorithms that rewarded lip syncs, trending sound, and copy paste content. Brilliant women with real expertise, advanced degrees, decades of experience, real results, were suddenly competing with noise. Not competition in a normal business sense, competition for attention in an environment designed to reward what is fast, not what is true. And here's the part that matters: more noise didn't equal more money. In theory, it should have been their golden age for established coaches and consultants. Everyone was online, consuming content like never before. But attention didn't translate into sales because eyeballs don't equal income. Authority does. And authority isn't built on trends, it's built on truth, proof, and presence. Meanwhile, people with little experience were going viral because they knew how to hack the platform, and people with depth were getting buried because they refused to perform. I could see exactly where the landscape was heading. I had no interest in playing that game. I didn't build my body of work so an algorithm could decide whether it was relevant. I wasn't going to build a business dependent on endless posting just to stay visible. So I gave myself permission to step away. Quietly, no meltdowns, no dramatic goodbye, just gone. And here's what I want you to hear, because this might be the permission you didn't know you needed. You don't owe the internet a farewell tour. You don't have to apologize for not posting. You don't have to cling to visibility because someone told you consistency is king. Sometimes the most strategic move you can make is to stop playing a game that isn't worth winning. For me, it wasn't burnout, it was clarity. I could see where the industry was going, and I knew I wasn't going to trade my authority for likes. I'd rather build something real, even if it meant building behind the scenes for a while, than keep feeding a machine that was never going to be full. That decision set the stage for everything that came next. Because I didn't step away from business altogether, I just shifted where I was placing my energy. For a while, that meant consulting with larger brands: Disney, Viking Cruises, Globe Life, and others. They brought me in for visibility strategy, sales systems, and online marketing. Big organizations, big budgets, bigger deadlines. And honestly, it was refreshing. I got to apply everything I know about presence and positioning at an entirely different scale. And it reminded me of something gets lost in the solopreneur world. When a company has to ship, they ship. They don't get to procrastinate clarity. The campaign goes out when it goes out. The message has to be understandable. The offer has to make sense. Payroll depends on it. That contrast did something good for me. It recalibrated me. It pulled me out of trend chasing energy and back into what actually works. At the same time, I leaned more deeply into something else that has always been a part of my world: travel. Travel has been in my DNA since I was a little girl, sitting at my mom's travel agency desk, stamping brochures with her phone number. I have a degree in hotel and restaurant management. Before all this, I was an executive with Fortune 50 hotel companies. So when I reopened my travel agency in 2019, I wasn't dabbling, I was specializing. While a lot of agents were posting beach pictures and selling one off cruises, I focused on SEO, referrals, and leads from my host agency. My niche was luxury group travel and world cruises. Experiences that weren't just a better use of my time, but ones that actually changed people's lives. At one point, I brokered a deal where a client sold their home and booked a 15-year, $500,000 world cruise with me. That was a moment, and it taught me something that came back later in a big way. When you coordinate travel like that, you're not just booking trips, you're curating transformation. You're building containers that hold people, logistics that free them, environments that change how they think. That travel angle became a through line in everything I teach now. It's woven into elevating your presence and the full paid for your presence ecosystem. Because those years gave me a new lens for how experts can design offers that aren't just information, but experiences. And even in that thriving season, I couldn't fully let go of the idea of paid for your presence. It kept tapping me on the shoulder like an unfinished sentence. So in 2020, I launched what I now call Paid for Your Presence 1.0. It was a 5-day live event teaching women how to sell one to many. And it worked. It was powerful, meta in the best way, because they weren't just learning a model, they were inside it. They experienced firsthand how one well designed workshop could create more revenue than scattered posts and endless one to one calls. But by 2021, something shifted again. Not burnout, not boredom. It was subtle. Running the same event over and over wasn't growth, it was Groundhog Day. And that's where the story continues. Because the decision to step away was clean, the path back was not. If you've ever closed a chapter that technically worked but didn't feel alive anymore, you know what I mean. That was me. Paid for Your Presence 1.0 worked, but repeating the same launch on a loop started to feel like busy work, especially knowing automation could handle most of it. So I evolved it into what I called version 1.5, a more automated version of the same event. People could go through it on their own schedule, and I kept a private group open for support. It was smart, scalable, but it still felt recycled, like a glow up of old work, not a birth of something new. And when your energy isn't in it, your audience knows. So I shut it down. Now I want to be transparent here because this is where people's stories usually get edited into something cleaner than it really was. The decision to step away from being highly visible online was clean, but the path back had a few false starts. I rebuilt everything at one point: new branding, sapphire inspired logo, new website platform, the whole identity. The vision that round was to help solopreneurs land corporate contracts and sponsorships, the kind of deals I negotiated with resorts and national brands. And on paper, it made sense. The market was viable, the brand was sharp, I had credibility, but something didn't click. It wasn't that it was a bad idea, it just wasn't the work I wanted to lead. And that was a hard lesson. Just because you can teach something doesn't mean you should. Knowing how to do something doesn't automatically make it your calling. Sometimes pivots look clean from the outside, like you have one big revelation and reemerge with the perfect new business. In reality, sometimes you have to test a few doors. Sometimes you put energy into things that show you what you don't want, so you can recognize what you do. For me, those false starts were necessary. They reminded me I wasn't going to be satisfied with a rebrand or a prettier version of what I'd already done. I wanted something alive, something that could carry me and my clients for the next decade. And that's where this next shift happened. When AI started entering the online business world, most people saw a tool. I saw a shift. At first, the way people used it was noisy and shallow. Everyone was talking about time saving, automation, pumping out your blogs in seconds. And what I saw people producing was honestly painful: cookie cutter, cheesy, stripped of voice. AI can easily erase someone's presence if they treat it like a vending machine. I resisted it for a long time because I did not want to lose the thing my brand had always been built on: presence. But then I started experimenting quietly behind the scenes, and what I discovered changed everything. AI does not have to erase your presence, it can amplify it. If you know how to train it, guide it, and integrate it with your body of work. That's where Soulful AI was born. Not letting the machine speak for you, teaching the machine to sound like you. To write in your tone, to think in your frameworks, to carry your language patterns and your point of view, so your ideas can travel farther without turning into generic content sludge. Once I saw how much time I saved and how much sharper my work became, I knew I couldn't keep it to myself. And that's when Paid for Your Presence 2.0 clicked into place. Because everything I've taught for years, branding, packaging, positioning, offers, visibility, suddenly had a new dimension. A way to scale without spinning. A way to cut through the noise without shouting. A way to stay present in your work without being chained to your phone. This time, I wasn't refreshing an old program. I wasn't trying to make an old idea fit a new market. This time, I built something I couldn't walk away from. And that's why I'm here. That's why this podcast exists. Because if you've ever felt the tension between wanting to grow and not wanting to burn out, between wanting to be seen and not wanting to perform, this work is for you. This season is not about hype. It's not about shortcuts. It's not about chasing trends. It's about rebuilding the foundation, authority without adrenaline, standards without stress, growth without churn, business that pays you back in time, not tension. And over this Welcome Back series, that's what we're doing. We're recalibrating, we're dismantling the noise and rebuilding from presence. Your identity, your body of work, your authority. So your brand communicates for you before you even say a word. You don't need louder marketing. You don't need endless content. You don't need to play the games the internet keeps trying to sell you. You need precision, presence, and positioning. And that's where we're going. Now, before we wrap this first episode, I want to land one message that has become a quiet truth in my own life and the lives of my clients. You are never behind. The online world loves to make you feel like you're racing against a scoreboard. Like if you take a break, you'll be forgotten. If you post less, you'll lose momentum. If you step back, everything will collapse. But there's no scoreboard. No invisible referee tracking your posting streak. What matters is the body of work you're building, the clarity of your message, the authority of your presence. And that doesn't disappear when you step away. Sometimes stepping back is what gives you the clarity to come back stronger. That's what this comeback is about. Not being louder, not chasing harder, not following rules that don't serve you. This comeback is about being undeniable. And that is what we're going to build here. Here's what's coming next in the Welcome Back series. We're going to talk about the lies that keep brilliant women underpaid and overbooked. We're going to talk about packaging your expertise so it positions you as the obvious choice, not just another option. We're going to talk about why the content hamster wheel is killing your brand and how to create demand instead of chasing attention. And yes, we're going to talk about how AI can support your business in a way that amplifies your voice instead of flattening it. Because the real opportunity is not replacing your presence, it's protecting it and scaling it. Not every transformation looks like a collapse. Some of them look like clarity. If this episode felt quieter than expected, that's intentional. This season isn't about spectacle, it's about precision. If you want to stay connected as the series continues, you'll find everything unfolding inside my private community, Circle by Erica Duran. Details are in the show notes. Never settle. Thank you for tuning in to Paid for Your Presence, powered by Soulful AI. Join me inside Circle by Erica Duran, a private network where entrepreneurs connect for strategy, referrals, and collaboration, and where connection naturally turns into opportunity. Because presence isn't about being everywhere, it's about being unmistakable where it matters. Never settle.